Hey guys, here we go into a video on we fight how we train for Ugas for his fight versus Manny Pacquiao. And what I want to be pointing out is we're going to be looking at a lot of pull counters, and we're going to be taking a look at, something else that he does that's not good. But one of the things that he does do really well are his pull counters. And this, shooting the jab and then slipping this punch here, is one of the ways that he trains his pull counters, okay? So the first motion that he does when he shoots his hand out allows him to get his weight to the back foot before, boom, he starts his slip, right? So it's jab, and then he's going to be slipping to the back foot with the block here. Now, this is a drill that I like to practice on the heavy bag. You make one strike, you throw it really hard, boom, and then you get into a blocking position in that same direction, okay? It's a very, very, very effective tool, and here Ugas is using it on the pads, okay? Everything that you do on the pads, you can directly transfer to the heavy bag. Everything that you do on the heavy bag, you should be able to transfer to the pads. Kinda, right? Kinda, So anyway, practicing his pull counters and his positions, okay? Now, practicing your positions and your body mechanics in this way helps to increase your speed, your body mechanics, increase your athleticism, and the flow of moving from one position to another, okay? So very, very good stuff from Ugas here, and I want to show that all of his offense here is coming off of a kind of a probing jab, right? Now, we're going to talk a little bit about this and a little bit about some of the ways that practicing it in this manner affects the way that he fights and uses it, all in good ways, okay? So let's take a look at some clips, okay? Well, let's take a look at this clip here. So here he is. He's going to be probing, and this is a fight. I was watching Figueroa versus Ugas, and I'm a big Figueroa fan. I think Figueroa is a really good fighter. But Joe Goosen mentioned something in the telecast that someone asked him, hey, what would you tell Figueroa to do right now in the fight against Ugas? And he goes, well, you know what? When you're training a guy, you know what he's capable of. This is what he's trying to say. You know what he's capable of when you trained him, so you know what you can tell him what to do. And he said, I don't know what to tell him what to do, right? And basically what he means is he doesn't know what Figueroa, is it Brandon? I'm not sure if it's his brother. Anyway, I'm fans of both of them, the Figueroa brothers, but he doesn't know what to tell Figueroa what to do because he doesn't know what Figueroa can do when he's this worn out. He doesn't know what's going to be effective. He doesn't know to tell him, you need to do this move. But maybe Figueroa is really bad at that move, and he tries that move and gets knocked out. Anyway, all that to consider, blah, 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 blah. Ugas is leading with his lead hand and then moving into a pull counter here. So what I want to highlight here is that Ugas not only prepares to start his pull counters with his lead hand, but he prepares his pull counters with his rear hand as well. And I want you to see how easily he was able to walk Brandon into this punch. Boom. Countering his jab here, catching him with the lead right hand here. Beautiful work. And then catching him, trying to counter him as he moves out of that position, pull countering him with another right hand. Now, I want you to pay attention to how little of Ugas's punch is turned over when he lands this right hand, and how little power he's getting, how little of his head is getting to the weight, to the front foot. It looks like he's kind of stuck in the middle of his line. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, but I want you to be drawn more so to the idea that he is dominating this position, drawing the counters into it, and then countering those counters, okay? And all of that is very, very, very high-level stuff against a very good fighter. Now, Figueroa is not in great shape, so he's a little bit slower than his technique would allow him to be, but nonetheless, lead right hand from him, and then pull countering into more punches against him when his opponent counters him on the front foot. And again, I want you to pay attention to the fact that these are counters from Figueroa. They're supposed to be ways that Figueroa is able to stop his opponent from entering his line, but Ugas is dominating them, and he's able to use his lead right hand to set up those pull counters as well, or use them to damage his opponent. Now, we did see him in the training montage kind of just blasting away, right? And doing it with the jab, the slip, right? Now here, he's not getting great control of the line. His opponent's able to open up on him, immediately gets control of him, pushes him back to the line. And now, when Ugas gets back to the line, controls that lead hand again. Look at him cross the line like an expert. So sometimes he looks very vulnerable. Sometimes he crosses the line like an expert with some beautiful boxing. and starts dominating the positions. And then again, here's that move that he's practicing on the pads right there, okay? It's the exact same move. Figueroa approaches the line with his rear hand, and Ugas, instead of throwing the jab, he's going to make a very similar motion. He's going to slip to the back foot, control the space with his lead hand, whoop, and he's going to be able to get this foot in position to set up that right uppercut. And again, that's very, very similar to what he's practicing here when he shoots the jab, boom, and then pull counters, okay? All those mechanics work in very, very similar ways. So all of the ways that he's practicing this here is going to make it easier for him to use and do that motion in the fight. This exact one that's going on right here. Now, controlling that hand there, getting his head off the line, and then even though he misses this punch and this punch, it's a very, very, very dangerous technique, and I just wanted to highlight that for you guys because I thought it was really interesting. Now here, again, the same motion, right? He's going to be shooting that lead hand out there, slipping to the back foot, setting up that body shot. I know he hits him in the dick. I know. And then throws this hook. But what I want you to pay attention to is control. He sees both of these punches coming, okay? He's not deterred by the lead hand of Figueroa, and he's able to still stay in position to counter this one and pull counter, boom, boom. Now, Manny Pacquiao is much faster, okay? Manny Pacquiao is much faster, but what I want to point out here is that whether the punch comes or not from his opponent, Ugas is still going to be countering, okay? So it doesn't matter if Manny Pacquiao is fast, because this is a really fast punch here, in theory, from Figueroa. And that would have hit Figueroa in the face if it was Manny Pacquiao throwing it, but it didn't stop him from throwing his big pendulum hook here, okay? His big, huge, what should be a huge body shot. And that's a very, very important idea to understand, that when Ugas has control of the line, okay, and we can see him, he's approaching the line, he's taking that step, he gets there with his lead hand, he's ready to slip off the line at any moment, and again, use this hand as that counterbalance, very similar to shooting that jab and setting up the slip to the back foot to set this body shot up. He's always in position on the line, almost always in position on the line to do that, okay? And again, this is going to be a very, very tough fight for Manny Pacquiao because of that. Because the body shots are always coming. Now, it's not like Manny Pacquiao's like a lost dog, right? It's not like he's not going to be, he's going to find some offense. And I think one of the places that he's going to need to start, Manny Pacquiao, is figuring out where it is that Ugas puts his head when he pull counters, okay? Now, Figueroa is going to do that right here. He's going to shoot that probing shot and shoot that one, and he's going to force Ugas to slip to the back foot, and Figueroa lands a punch there, okay? He's able to use that shot there and then feint him here, make him use that pull counter motion and walk him into this punch. Now, that's going to be, in my opinion, one of Manny Pacquiao's most important sources of offense. Not only because of the fact that Ugas is so good at fighting his opponent's lead left hands and lead right hands, but because of the fact that Ugas does move his head when he pull counters, but he doesn't really move his head when he punches. Okay, he moves his head a little bit, but not a lot. But when he pull counters, he moves all the way off the line and all the way back onto the line, and that means he's going to be putting more momentum and more of his weight into that punch. So if Manny Pacquiao can push Ugas off of his line and then into one of these punches when he pull counters and when he tries to move into the line, he may still be able to walk Ugas into a big enough punch to knock him out. Okay, even though Manny Pacquiao is a little bit smaller, and even though Ugas normally wouldn't be able to put enough power into his punches to knock himself out from a Manny Pacquiao counterpunch, this would be the place that if I was training Manny Pacquiao, that I would look for offense. Because Ugas is going to have really good control of the line. So this position here. Now, I would either look to time Ugas here, moving into that position, or I would look to use the lead left hand from Manny Pacquiao to draw that pull counter, push him off the line, and set up the hook, okay? So if you're Manny Pacquiao, I would say you're going to use the jab, push him off the line, set him up and walk him into a right hand, or you're going to use the lead left hand to push him to the back foot, and then when he tries to re-enter the line, you'll hit him with the right hook on the way back in. Okay, so that would be my strategy if I was Manny Pacquiao's coach. Those are the easiest places for me to find offense against Ugas, the most vulnerable places. And yeah, now we're going to take a look at actually some more of his training here. And he's going to be practicing some similar stuff, shooting the jab here and then slipping and rolling, right? Getting his head off the line. But what I want to point out is all of this is him learning to shoot these punches off of his jab, right? He's learning to start offense off of his lead hand, but it's not just a simple 1-2, right? Which most offense is. So that allows him, again, to get to the line and control it with his lead hand, and then start setting up other attacks, right? So getting to the line here with the lead hand any second, bop. And now what's he going to do right after? He slips to the outside and then rolls, okay? Maybe he uses that roll to set up a hook later, right? Maybe he uses that motion to set up these control punches. Maybe he uses that to do something else in the fight, right? But practicing getting onto the line and then getting off the line, right? Getting onto the line with the jab, getting off the line, and setting up, spoiler alert, another combination, right? Now again, this is a very similar motion. Jab, roll off the line into another combination. Very, very similar to what he was doing in the fights. Very, very similar to what he was doing in the other mitt stuff. And this time, doing all of that off of the jab, right? And we saw how effective it was in the fight off of his lead right hand, right? And now, again, practicing these body mechanics off of his jab or whatever. Now, I want to show you one more thing, because remember I talked about how he doesn't really turn his punches over, right? Now, well, we're just going to show the double in-bag training of him. And here he is, shortcutting all of his punches, right? He's not turning any of these punches over. He's immediately getting to the bag. And as soon as he gets there, he's pulling his punch, right? It's just enough for him to make contact and control the bag, right? That's great. That's an excellent drill. But you have to do other drills too. You can't just practice coming into the bag and controlling it. Because in theory, none of these are punches. Okay? In my boxing theory and the way that I teach it, these would all be his ability to control the line. Okay? And as we can see, tap, 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 tap. And now he's going to throw a real power shot. That was his power punch right there. See how many beats he's missing on the line here? Control, 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 boom. And now, he didn't turn that punch over. He didn't really get his weight, right, all the way to the front foot. He didn't turn that punch over at all. The hand is here instead of being all the way turned over so that this is the bottom of your hand, so that this is up here, right? And this is the top of his hand so that it's down here, right? His hand is going this way, and it should be going this way in a similar motion like that. So this is why when Ugas lands these punches, he's not really going to be hurting Manny Pacquiao, because all of his fastest punches are punches he practices without any power. And that means that he's not going to really be able to figure out how to layer his punches with power when it comes to fighting Manny Pacquiao, someone especially who is going to be so much faster than him. Okay, now, this is great news for Manny Pacquiao because, well, number one, I still think Ugas is going to hit Pacquiao. I just don't think he's going to have the power to turn the punch over to really separate Manny Pacquiao's head from his body. Okay? Now, it's going to be a little bit different because these kinds of punches and these kind of control punches or whatever, they're also very similar to, like, you know, if you were throwing body shots or whatever, the way that the mechanics is kind of similar. And I do believe Ugas is going to be throwing really, really hard body shots. He practices his uppercuts a lot. And I think that getting into those positions is really similar to these straight punches that he's practicing, right? And again, look at when he taps it here. Is that punch turned over? Is that punch turned over? No, right? No, 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 no. Not even close. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. Yeah, I don't think that there's going to be any more Manny Pacquiao Ugas videos simply because the fight is so close and there's so little film left to go over. But Pacquiao's going to have his hands full. Ugas is really, really tall. He has really good control of the line. He has a lot of pull counters. And Manny Pacquiao's quick. But Ugas has a lot of reach, and he throws those body shots from really far away. And I think that there's going to be a lot of space where Manny Pacquiao is able to be hit. I'm not saying Manny Pacquiao is going to lose, but a lot. Freddie Roach is saying this is an easy fight, and I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm super wrong. But yeah, tough fight. I do think Ugas fights southpaws better than he fights orthodox fighters, and yeah, I think he's going to give Manny Pacquiao hell. This is a tough fight, man. This is a tough